over 1,300 containers belonging to the Electricity Company of Ghana are missing at the Thermoport. Now, that's according to a damning investigation report led by Professor Innocent Senyo Aqua. The committee's findings reveal procurement irregularities and the awarding of contracts to an unlicensed company.
Well, the Minister of Energy, Green Transition, John Abdulai Jinapor, has vowed to recover the lost containers or their monetary value with the help of the Attorney General and the police. There's more in the following report.
A 5-member investigative committee uncovered serious procurement lapses within the Electricity Company of Ghana, leading to the disappearance of over 1,300 containers meant for electricity infrastructure.
We took a list of containers that ECG has, as containers they have at the port, to be 2,491. That was the list they gave us, 2,491. However, when we visited the port and counted the ECG containers there, we got 1,134. 2,491 is the list we were given. We got 1,134, leaving out about 1,328 containers that could not be accounted for.
The committee also found that ECG awarded contracts to 2 companies to clear the containers, one of which was pre-financed by ECG, yet lacked the necessary license to operate.
Over a period when they piled up to over 2,400, we saw that 2 clearing companies were engaged to clear those particular containers for ECG.
The Minister for Energy and Green Transition, John Abdulai Jinapor, described the findings as alarming and promised swift action.
We also have to change the procurement processes at ECG. It can't be business as usual, and I can assure you that we intend to take some swift, far-reaching measures to ensure that the right thing is done.
The investigation, which began after the minister's visit to the port in January, estimates ECG's liabilities at 1.5 billion cedis. Authorities say those found culpable will face legal action.
Well, let's do more on this by bringing in Nana Amweshi VII. He is the Executive Director of the Institute for Energy Security. Nana, I'm grateful to you for joining us now. How do we really block all of these loopholes that we have some people taking advantage of in our energy sector?
Thanks for having me, Coach. I think that people must be held accountable to deter future mismanagement, recover the lost funds, and restore public confidence in the ECG. That is the way to go. Accountability. To the point where we can sit aloof and watch close to 1,350 containers disappear. In fact, signals a serious case of mismanagement and potential corruption. In fact, it highlights loss in ECG's procurement and financial oversight. And so people must be held accountable.
But 1,300 containers getting off the Thermoport without a trace, that's quite, something that's difficult for people to comprehend. Is it difficult? Is it difficult for us to trace these 1,300 containers?
We are even wondering whether indeed this number of containers arrive at the shores of Ghana. We are wondering if it's not just the paperwork done to cover something else. Because how can 1,350, close to 1,350 containers get missing? This is not like biscuit and toffee that you can pump into your bag or your pocket. Huge containers. And so where are they stored? I think that I want to support the minister that there must be thorough investigation and a forensic audit into this whole issue.
But this is a country where there will be a forensic audit anyway, but people will not be held accountable for what they do. So how can we ensure that the ministry, led by the minister, Abdulai Jinapor, will ensure that people who must be held accountable really are held accountable for this?
Of course, this must be done in a more transparent manner. It becomes necessary that some of these citizens are held openly and get the involvement even of the media and civil society organizations on board. Then, of course, we are sure that they will make good their work. But definitely something must be done out of this situation. Other than that, it will repeat itself. And, of course, ECG will be plunged more into deeper financial holes and become a fiscal burden on the economy.
Okay. Grateful to you, Nana, for joining us here. Away from that, Minority Leader Alexander Feomakin says the 2025 budget is uninspiring and has completely failed to cater for the interests of the private sector. Parliament has, for the last 2 weeks, been debating the budget statement ahead of passing the Appropriation Act by Friday. Taking a stand to conclude a debate, the Minority Leader insisted the budget is full of contradictions.
To kill private sector initiative is the reason why they are unable to tell us a single initiative for the private sector. I ask a question. What is the work of the trade minister? What is the work of the trade minister? They say they have an advisor for 24-hour economy. What is his work? And they've loaded so many people at the office of the vice president. Advisor here, chief of staff here. How many chief of staff do you have at the presidency? They claim that we are going to form a lean government. Let me expose them. They have appointed more political appointees than ministers.
But the minority and the majority leader, rather, Mahama Yariga, fought back, accusing the minority leader of not understanding how budget works. He described the budget as promise-fulfilling, and it's a document worth looking forward to.
And I just listened to my colleague, the Honorable Minority Leader, who had just spoken. After listening to him, Mr. Speaker, I miss the days of people like J.H. Mensah, who, when they debated the budget, you walked away highly educated in economic figures, statistics, and policies. I was wondering whether we were listening to a debate of the budget or a debate about governance in this country. In order that listeners are not confused, I want to restate that the debate is of the budget policy that was presented to this House and not governance generally.
Well, let's stay in Parliament because the Finance Minister, Dr. Kassia Latu-Forson, rallied MPs to support the budget to achieve sustainable growth.
Mr. Speaker, this budget is one that is people-centered, with innovative solutions to address our deep-seated socio-economic issues. Mr. Speaker, it addresses our economic challenges, provides the necessary environment for business growth, introduce a 24-hour economy initiative, provide economic opportunities, create the atmosphere in providing ample jobs for our citizens. We will require the support of this House to execute effectively and efficiently. Mr. Speaker, we will take on board the constructive criticisms that we have received on the floor of this House to reset the economy of Ghana and to deliver the Ghana we all want.
Away from that, there are increasing concerns over government after its commitment to dealing with the recurrent fires in markets and other public and private spaces after recent fire razed several shops in Edo Market in the Ashanti region. The over 2-day fire, which some traders attributed to intermittent fire supply and exposed LPG use in the market, comes a few weeks after similar fire incident in Kantamanto, Techiman, and several other markets across the country. Now, but one thing synonymous is a application of the investigative report of these fires to deal with the situation. We'll deal with that shortly, but there is an update on the Kumasi Edum fire because former Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia has visited the area today and has promised some 200,000 cedis relief package for the traders. Nana Boakye Dankwa Yiadom was there and has more.
The fire, which engulfed a large section of the Edum PZ arena, destroyed numerous shops and properties, leaving many traders in distress. The loss has had a significant economic impact of traders who rely on the area for their businesses. Former Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia visited the scene on Tuesday to express his deep sympathy and commitment to supporting the affected traders as they begin their long process of recovery.
Livelihoods have been lost. People's capital, their investment. It's just a disaster for this country and for this market and for all the traders in this market. I am very, very concerned to make sure that we should help them to rebuild as quickly as possible. I am making a small donation of my own of 200,000 Ghana cedis with 1,000 bags of cement to add to them.
The traders who have been affected by the fire outbreak say they will reject any form of evacuation to allow for a decongestion exercise to continue. For Joy News, Nana Boakye Dankwa Yiadom, Kumasi.
President John Dramani Mahama in 2013 issued a forensic investigation into a similar fire situation in Accra, bringing in a team of investigators from the United States of America to investigate and recommend a long-term solution for dealing with similar occurrences. Over a decade on, the report is yet to be made public. Lead data analyst Isaac Kofiaje chronicles the situation in the following report.
For President Mahama, the recent wave of fire outbreaks might feel like a deja vu, reminiscent of events in 2013. Just a week after he was sworn in that year, Ghana recorded 166 fire outbreaks within the first 2 weeks of January alone. The Ashanti and Greater Accra regions accounted for over 60% of these incidents, with markets and commercial hubs being the hardest hit. Faced with mounting concerns, President Mahama's administration invited forensic fire experts from the United States of America to investigate the root causes and propose solutions to Ghana's recurring fire disasters. However, more than a decade later, the country appears stuck in a cycle of devastating outbreaks, with the same underlying issues persisting: restricted access to fire scenes, non-functional hydrants, cooking at market centers, and electrical faults. What has changed, however, is the scale of the problem. The number of reported fire outbreaks has surged 13-fold, from 478 in 2013 to over 6,000 in 2024. The cost of damages has also skyrocketed from approximately 15 million Ghana cedis to over 270 million Ghana cedis. Yet, despite multiple investigations, both domestic and external, there is little evidence of lasting solutions. Structural challenges remain unresolved. Over 50% of Ghana's fire hydrants remain non-functional, while more than half of the country's firefighting trucks are out of service. These deficiencies make it harder for firefighters to contain blazes before they even escalate into full-scale disasters. Now, less than 3 months into his second term, President Mahama is once again confronting a surge in fire outbreaks. 2 major fires have already destroyed properties, reigniting concerns about the country's firefighting preparedness. While Mahama's 2024 manifesto includes a commitment to increase operational logistics, such as fire tenders, rescue equipment, protective gears, and hydraulic platforms for high-rise buildings, it is not part of his 120-day social contract. For now, businesses and individuals continue to suffer immense losses, while the country awaits for tangible results from years of investigations and policy promises.
Let's zoom on this by bringing in former Chief Fire Officer of Kufroja, Dr. Albert Brown Gazy, into this discussion. Doc, I'm grateful to you for joining us. Now, why do we find it difficult to make some of these reports public so that we all get to know what exactly is causing these fires? Dr. Albert Brown Gazy is a former Chief Fire Officer, and we want to understand from him why these reports that are commissioned into these fires are not made public. You remember that, a decade ago, some U.S. experts were brought into the country to investigate what the cause of these fires. Doc, I'm grateful to you for agreeing to speak to us. Now, why is it difficult for some of these reports on this fire incident, to be made public, for all of us to know what exactly the situation is?
No, thank you very much. There are several, and to be honest, some made public because of this
Doc, forgive me, but can you reposition yourself for us so we can? Doc, your line keeps breaking. If you can kindly reposition yourself.
Okay, you want me to reposition myself?
I think it's better now, yes. Let me hear you.
Okay. Is it clear?
Better. Let's hear you, sir.
Okay. I indicated that there have been several committees and several reports, including the Americans who came in for investigation. Do you recall that?
Yeah, we recall they came, but as to their report being made public is something that I cannot
yes, you see, we have to scrutinize some of those reports. Those that need to be, the public needs to be informed. They were informed some years back. This was about 2013, 2014. Some reports are also made available. Others that in the interest of national security, you don't need to make them available. You send them story until you have approval, but you can do them out. It's not because of fire made available.
Doc, if you say they were made available, do you mean communication about the report was made public, or you mean the report was put out in the public domain that we all could have access to and understand what the report entails?
No, I'm trying to emphasize on the point that most of these reports, they don't present them verbatim to the public.
Okay.
But there are no reports that might just come indicating the observations, the recommendations, the cause of fire and all those things. We identify the essential components so that we use them for public education to inform the public that these are the causes, the criminal causes of those fires. And as such, the public needs to be aware. This is for that. But you see, that the emphasis on this, I want you to fire investigation. Leading these reports, you have special way, informative reports, situational reports, interim reports for a final issue. Because based on the Korean investigation, you may realize the fact that after some period of time, the cost fire changed. And that's because all that you're finding. So when you have definite reports, you lead them or make the public aware of the cost. Because the public are basically, they are interested in the observation, cost and accommodation. Some of them is really important.
So going forward, and in our effort to ensure that these fires, we deal with these fires, what do you think needs to be done?
We need to look at the overall fire defense systems. You see, what we need to understand is that the ownership of these markets or the management of these markets are the MMDAs, the assemblies. They are responsible. Some of them constitute reports, and reports are sent to them. Some of them are aware of the risk and hazards of market and other essential facilities within the areas of the main. And they have the responsibility to ensure that appropriate contingency put in place. They have the appreciation of the risk. They know the hazards. So they know the contingency measures that must be put in place upon recommendation from the fire service. Because when you look at the markets that we have now, the issue of occupancy, segregation has become a problem. They are basically mixed cargo. When I say mixed cargo, you have everything mixed up. Unlike a situation where those days, these are for textiles, these are for maybe carbide, these are for turpentine and lacquer, where there's segregation. But you don't have this time, where you even have a storage of China and lacquer. That is where somebody even fries a plantain or roast a plantain. So you have a mixed cargo in the market, but it's gotten to a point that these things, there must be segregation of waste. You see, there must be segregation of the occupancy.
Okay.
These are...
I'm grateful to you, Dr. Gazy, that he is a former chief fire officer there.
Well, away from that, President John Dramani Mahama says his administration is committed to ensuring that 80% of the District Assembly's Common Fund is remitted directly to the districts for the needed infrastructural development. Now, speaking during the swearing-in of the administrator of the District Assembly's Common Fund, Michael Harry Yamson, he said his administration is committed to collaborating with institutions like Parliament to ensure that robust monitoring mechanisms are instituted to enhance transparency in the distribution of the funds.
It is with this understanding that in the 2025 budget, we have made a firm commitment to remitting at least 80% of DACF allocations directly to the districts. In the past, in some cases, as much as 47% of the Common Fund was dispersed from the center, leaving very little at the discretion of the assemblies. This policy is designed to eliminate unnecessary delays, reduce bureaucratic inefficiencies, and empower local authorities to plan and execute development projects with certainty.
Well, the administrator of the District Assembly's Common Fund, Michael Harry Yamson, says his outfit is almost done with the 2025 formula for distributing all the necessary funds to all the assemblies, and he would be making that available very shortly.
As the President said, demands that the central government through the Finance Ministry regularly, timeously, and in full deliver to the DACF the funds required to support these activities. And Mr. President, I can confirm to you that we are almost done with the formula for 2025, and we have just crossed the 80% mark. I'm not quite touching 81 yet, but we've crossed the 80%, and the districts will have the money as it is received. So, once again, I'm grateful.
Well, the former majority leader, Oseche Mensah-Bonsu, has questioned the competence of President Mahama's appointment to Ghana Gold Board, a new body set up to formalize the small-scale gold mining sector. Well, the Gold Board was a key campaign promise by the president to manage and market the country's gold resources for the benefit of Ghanaians. Well, President Mahama gave additional responsibility to the former NDC communications officer, Semi Jemfi, who was appointed the managing director of the Precious Minerals Marketing Company. But the former majority leader, Oseche Mensah-Bonsu, is raising issues with the quality of appointees to the board. Speaking at a budget dialogue, Mr. Mensah-Bonsu warned the situation could undermine the board's mandate.
It's a good intent that they've expressed. You expect to populate the board with people with demonstrable competencies in commodity training and so on. Okofa obia sabi imprediasa. Onya adwuma bi ada. as a job for the boys. Amazing kako. If we get it wrong at the very outset, it will be dangerous for us as a country.
Well, you're still watching Joy News Prime. We'll be back with more. Please stay tuned in.
All right, so welcome back from the break. This is still Joy News Prime. Now, the Ashanti Regional Police Command has launched a manhunt for Martin Amwa, alias Baba Macho, suspected of robbing and killing a mobile money vendor in Kumasi. 3 other suspects have already been arrested in connection with a series of Momo vendor attacks that have left 3 dead in 2 months. Police are urging the public to assist in locating the fugitive. Clinton Yeboah has more in the following report.
3 mobile money vendors have died in 3 separate incidents in Kumasi in the last 2 months, causing fear and panic in many parts of the Ashanti region. And 2 out of these 3 incidents involved firearms. The Ashanti Regional Command of the Ghana Police Service has confirmed the arrest of 3 suspects believed to be in connection of this murder and robbery.
The arrested suspects have been identified as Charles Kwame Danso, 23, also known as Kwame Charles, or Miami, Philip Fojuo, 29, and Samuel Adai Mensah were arrested on 21st March 2025 at Pankrono and Etimetim, respectively. The suspects are currently in police custody and will soon be brought before the court to face justice.
Deputy Commissioner of the Ashanti Regional Police Command, Emmanuel Ted Kujo, is appealing to the public to assist in the search of the suspect, Martin Amwa, who is currently on the run.
The Police Command is therefore appealing to the public to assist in the search of the said Martin Amwa. Anyone with information regarding his whereabouts is urged to contact the police via the toll-free number 191-112-18555, MTN and Telcel.
Responding to these incidents, the Ashanti Regional Security Council earlier today developed strategies to clamp down on the robbery and murder cases in the Ashanti region by beefing up police visibility and offering security trainings to mobile money vendors. For Joy News, my name is Clinton Yeboah.
Well, let's stay in the Ashanti region because the Regional Anti-Illegal Mining Task Force is doubling down on efforts to clear forest reserves of illegal miners. The acting Regional Security Coordinator, Captain Retired John Kwame Jabari, says recent raids in Ofinsu Shelter Belt and Kotokum Forest are yielding results despite violent resistance, including an attack on Forestry Commission officers. There's more in this report by Nana Yaljima.
The Rapid Response Team of the Forestry Commission moved to the Ofinsu Shelter Belt to stop the invasion of the forest by illegal miners. It is reported that the team was ambushed by the armed illegal miners, leading to a violent attack. The Ashanti Regional Anti-Illegal Mining Task Force raided the forest after the incident. Acting Regional Security Coordinator Captain Retired John Jabari says some excavators were demobilized.
Most of the time, when those who use those machines see you, the boats, they take away the keys of the excavator. So it will be difficult for you to use the low bed to move those machines. So what we also do is that we immobilize it so that later we'll bring the low bed to come and pick those machines from the site and send it there.
Captain Retired Jabari claims most forest reserves are out of control of illegal miners.
I can confidently tell you that all the forest reserves within Ashanti region has been gotten rid of all illegal miners within them.
But the claim has been refuted by environmental journalist Erastus Asare Donko.
Let's not start jubilating and putting figures out that we have totally reclaimed or clawed back all forests from illegal miners in Ashanti region. It's not true. We'll tell him.
Meanwhile, the Anti-Illegal Mining Task Force has resolved to operate a 24-hour surveillance to sustain efforts to rid the forest of illegal miners. For Joy News, Nanaya Ojima, Kumasi.
Now, some school children in East Mamprose narrowly escaped death when a classroom wall collapsed, just minutes after teachers got them out. Now, it was the second time the structure had failed, yet lessons continued inside. Now, nearby, a 6-unit Get Fund block started in 2012 remains uncompleted despite repeated appeals. Emmanuel Jiveno has more in our education series, Crumbling Starts.
It's a Tuesday morning at Nanori Presby Primary School in the East Mamprose municipality. As these children lift their voices in prayer, they are not just seeking knowledge, they are pleading for survival.
You didn't come to school that day. All right.
Here at Nanori Presby Primary School, education comes at a cost, not in cedis and pesos, but in courage and sometimes fear.
Classes were in session, and the KG children were there. So, knowing the weak nature of the structure, I, together with my colleagues, sent all the children to the uncompleted building, which we think is better, looks somehow standard in terms of strength. And after a while, after we succeeded in sending all the children into the uncompleted building, in less than 10 minutes, the wall collapsed.
And they came and told us that we should contribute. The GS, they came and said we should manage and build it. I assembled my provide blocks and we built it and it collapsed again.
But it wasn't supposed to be this way. In 2012, construction began on the 6-unit classroom block funded by the Ghana Education Trust Fund. 12 years on, this is all that stands. No floors, no windows and doors, no future.
The Get Fund building, they started it 2012. And the roofing also done 2013. And they ran. The contractor ran away. We don't even know where he is. We reported this building to the ensemble.
During the rainy season, teaching becomes a dangerous gamble.
We don't feel comfortable keeping the children here because of the nature of the structure.
Despite the odds, the children keep coming. They dream of becoming nurses, teachers, doctors, and presidents. But hope alone cannot build classrooms.
Because sometimes I ask myself whether we are part of Ghana. How can a structure like this be put for over 10 years today? If duty bearers could come into our aid, it will help.
The children of Nanori are not asking for much, just the right to learn. Emmanuel Jivenu, Joy News.
Now, 3 new regions, Western North, Savannah, and Northeast, are still behind in teacher-pupil ratio with overcrowded classrooms as teachers handle more students than their peers nationwide. And that's according to the Ghana Statistical Service. This was reviewed during the launch of the Access to the Quality of Basic and Secondary Education report, which measured the trend and progress Ghana has made toward achieving SDG 4, which is to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. In the Education Strategic Plan, ESP, from 2018 to 2030, the target was 45 pupils per trained teacher at the kindergarten level. However, some teachers are sometimes forced to teach almost twice that number.
To other stories now, the Accelerated Rural Development Organization is working to protect Ghana's forest reserve and sacred tree species by engaging herbal medicine producers. The initiative educates them on conservation practices while enhancing their skills to produce safer, value-added medicines.
According to the United Nations Development Programme, approximately 70% of patients in Ghana prefer herbal medicine due to its affordability, accessibility, and cultural and spiritual acceptance. This has encouraged the government to integrate traditional medicine into the healthcare delivery system. In response, the Accelerated Rural Development Organization, ADU, has dedicated a component of its climate change project to ensure the production of safe herbal products. Pascal Benson Atigla is the executive director of ADU.
We have a key component being tree planting, a key component being sacred grove identification, documentation, and conservation. And so we believe that, just as you mentioned, the herbal practitioners are key stakeholders that contribute to either destroying it or will help to revive them.
The project will include training for local herbal medicine producers on safe production procedures, branding and registering their products with the Food and Drugs Authority. The program director of ADU, Winfred Daniel Donko, stated that the selected practitioners will receive support to undertake afforestation initiatives aimed at preserving endangered tree species.
If you have a product that is in containers, you are carrying along, selling tot, nobody will know your brand name and invite you. And no hospital will take that for anything. We are not sure of what the product is. So we want to discourage them from using those tot gallon serving containers.
Practitioners have praised the initiative, believing it will safeguard the environment and their livelihoods. Fred Kwame Asari, Joy News, Have.
Our acting CEO of the Environmental Protection Authority, Professor Nana Ama Brown-Kluche, is urging greater investment in scientific research to address climate change threats, including water security, deforestation, and land degradation. Speaking at her inaugural lecture at the University of Ghana, she emphasized the need for government support to accelerate national development. Carlos Caloni reports.
The inaugural lecture at the BAM Library, University of Ghana, brought together faculty members, students, and climate researchers for an in-depth exploration of 69 groundbreaking scientific research works by Professor Nanama Brown-Kluche. As a leading climate scientist and vice chair of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, IPCC Working Group, and now the acting chief executive officer of the Environmental Protection Authority, her in-depth knowledge in the area is set to play a crucial role in Ghana's climate resilience efforts. Addressing the press on the vital link between scientific research and national development, she called on the government to significantly increase investment in research to drive the country's progress.
Research is largely expensive, and so it takes commitment and investment to produce research. So research results can take a while, some are short, but then it takes consistency and perseverance to produce research findings. And most of them are also informed by the research-informed policies. And so we need government to invest in research. All through my research publications and research work, I get support from external governments, so grants and external or donor funding that supports my research. We need the government of Ghana to support our research, not just in climate change, but all research in the country. But if we do research in science, it will help us a lot in our development.
Professor Kluche further stressed the urgent need for action on water security, deforestation, and land degradation due to climate change and illegal mining.
We have one of the impacts of climate change is water availability and water accessibility and water quality. So our water bodies are already confronted with the impact of climate change. And now we have the additional challenge of the illegal mining activities affecting the water body. So we are really constrained in terms of getting quality water and available water for use in this country. We have also, beyond the water, the land that is already affected by climate change. We know about deforestation, and the nutrients of our soil is also threatened by climate change. However, we have issues of illegal mining, galamsey, that is also affecting our land. And we have to be concerned about this. So looking at the part of the impact of climate change, which there's little we can do about, but we know there are a lot we can do about the illegal mining activities in the country.
The Provost of College of Basic and Applied Sciences, Professor Sando Makyedana, praised Professor Cloche for her dedication to tackling climate challenges. He also urged academics and the public to engage with her inaugural lecture on Thursday, March 27, 2025. For Joy News, Carlos Caloni, University of Ghana.
In our Ghana Month series, we take you to Fort Prinsenstein in the Volta region, where the people of Agbezume rose against Danish slave traders. Their chief was killed, their sacred stool taken, and in retaliation, they captured and caged the Danish governor, turning his remains into a shrine.
Welcome to Fort Prinsenstein. Under the care of the Ghana Museums and Monuments Board, Fort Prinsenstein, or what is left of it, receives daily visitors from around the world. But there is something unique about the role this particular fort played in Ghana's sordid slavery story. Therefore, our colleague knows all about it.
And this tool was taken from the chiefs. You know, when they came here, they sought permission from the chiefs. And when they are putting up the fort, they realized that they are converting the fort into a slave post. So our people stood against them. Toby Degeni said no, they will not allow them to continue the building. So Toby Degeni was killed. That made our people move from here to where they are now, Agbozume. And that's why they celebrate the Keta Soma Tutuzan over there.
So the people of Agbozume
were
originally here.
Exactly.
And the Danes killed the chief
and
sacked the people and kept the stool.
Yes, they took the stool from the palace and it has been kept over here. So that the people of Agbozume spotted the Danish governor along the coast of Hedana Denu. So he was captured. And so they make him the idol over there in the back of the Denu market.
A heavy downpour with strong winds caused destruction at the ANC Mall in East Legon, Accra on Tuesday evening, bringing down the car park shred and damaging many vehicles. Viral videos on social media shows that the collapsed structure trapped several cars under the debris, with fallen trees worsening the destruction. While vehicle owners and the mall now face significant losses as assessment begin to determine the extent of damage. Authorities are yet to comment on the incident or outline possible safety measures to prevent future occurrences. We'll bring you more in subsequent bulletins. Oh, you're still watching Joy News Prime, and Coach Brace, you will be back with Showbiz, right?
Yeah, I will be here today with Becky Beggs.
Yes.
Showbiz, you know.
And I'm out of the studio. Bye.